The idea that I would not be able to share my story, my personal journey of freedom from homosexuality, that someday that could be considered hate speech, that's a scary thought to me, that I couldn't share what God has done in my life. And that's why I think this is very bad legislation.
Christine Sneeringer, herself a former homosexual, is the director of Worthy Creations, a ministry that helps people leave the homosexual lifestyle through the power of Christ.
There's just an aggression because our voice, the voice of the ex-gay community saying, we used to be gay, but we're not anymore, change is possible. They want to silence that voice, and I think hate crimes legislation would be a part of that silencing, because then suddenly we wouldn't be able to say those things as freely. We wouldn't be able to proclaim freedom from homosexuality, or that homosexuality is sin and deviation according to God's word. That would suddenly be considered hate speech.
Critics point out that so-called hate crime laws seem primarily directed at deflecting criticism from the homosexual community. In April 2007, a group of former homosexuals gathered in Washington to oppose the current hate crimes legislation.
If hate crime law is passed, they're telling me that I am more valuable as a lesbian than I am as an ex-lesbian. And I don't think that's true. I think no matter if you're a lesbian or you're not a lesbian, no matter who you are, I think you're valuable as a human being.
There are hundreds and even thousands of men and women that have changed their sexual orientation. And so it is not the same thing as even the civil rights movement or, anything like that. And so I'm here to say, that as someone who has changed, that this is an important issue.
Indeed, the homosexual movement has attempted to align itself with the civil rights movement, and hate crime laws have been portrayed as a civil rights issue. But that doesn't sit well with some civil rights activists. William Owens is the founder and president of the Coalition of African American Pastors.
I marched with Dr. King. I marched for civil rights. I fought for civil rights. And for the hate crime, the people who want a law for the hate crime movement, I find it very frustrating and disgusting, because that was not the purpose of the civil rights movement. And they're trying to hijack and take over the civil rights movement and make it their movement, and they didn't pay the price, nor do they suffer the things that blacks suffered prior to the civil rights movement.
I'm not only upset about that comparison, I'm appalled at that comparison. It is so different, it is amazing. I remember 2 water fountains in my day. This is something I lived, where there was colored water fountains, white water fountains. I have never seen a homosexual water fountain, have you?
To make homosexuality the equivalent of race, which is immutable, unchangeable, but homosexuality is not. It is not genetic, it is not inherent, it is not inborn. And I'm living proof of that.